I would say that I was surprised by this response to my last video, but I'm really not. I'm really not. And we're going to talk about why. So let's read this. He says, but if you wish to persist with this mentality, be my guest. The patriarchy will stand because people in power benefit from women pushing men away. I'm thankful for the women in my life who don't think like you. Now, okay. The funny thing about this particular comment is people who have been following me for a very long time know and have objectively watched me dedicate a lot of my time creating feminist content aimed at men and with the interest of speaking directly to men and being empathetic towards men. And so what I perceive in a lot of this interaction, right? And this is a central part of patriarchy, and this is why I feel like it's important to point this out and why I pointed it out to them, is men greatly underestimate the amount of labor that women do, right? This man, the point I was making in this last video, this man talks about how he had several women in his life who aided him in his journey out of patriarchy, right? And he's thankful to the women who sat with him and helped him do that and made him as close to a male feminist as he currently is, right? What I tried to say to him was that women don't owe you that. It's amazing that those women did that for you. And as I said, held his hand, which he didn't like that, but women don't owe you that. This was his response to me saying that. This was his response to me saying that. I'm glad that the women in my life don't think like you. See, the problem that we have in these conversations, and I would almost say this is a general thing, people like this get really into the idea of being celebrated for being an ally. They get really into the idea of having people around them tell them that they are no longer the terrible patriarchal person they used to be. So they know the buzzwords. They know the things to say. They have the right sort of like lingo, but yet they still act in ways that make it pretty clear they haven't actually done the work to undo what they're saying they're arguing against. The point I was trying to make to this creator is he is upset with women who say to him, I don't want to do labor for grown men, right? And he is transforming that into a general group of all women who do not support men doing this work, and how much that makes it harder for him to give a fuck about undoing patriarchy because he's not being celebrated. He's not having his back pat. He's not, being caressed and celebrated every single moment he does the patriarchy thing. And you know why that's probably not happening to you is because you are still acting in a very patriarchal way. And I responded to your videos pretty politely, honestly. You might not have liked the language that I used. It might have triggered you, right? But I was pretty nice to you in what I said to you. And you heard something really extreme. And that's something that I'm pointing out that you're already doing in the comment that you're responding to. You heard something so extreme. And your conclusion now is because this one person or these few people said that they don't want to do labor for you, you're no longer interested in undoing patriarchy. This is the common conversation we have with performative allies, right? Why are you, as a person who says that you are trying to undo patriarchy, not recognizing that you're doing the thing that you're saying you're against? Seriously. Why is it so offensive to you to hear a woman say that she doesn't want to stop to educate you, to hold your hand, to, go through this whole thing with you? Why is that so upsetting to you? Why? Seriously. Why is it so upsetting to you as a man who is trying to undo patriarchy? Why is it so upsetting for you to hear that a woman doesn't want to be in service to you? Because it should, I don't know, to me, it's very bizarre not to catch that. It's very, very bizarre not to catch that. you're saying that you're trying to undo this thing where women are in service to men, but you're mad that women don't want to be in service to you while you try to undo your understanding of this thing where women are in service to men. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. It's, to me, it seems like you haven't done the work. That's why it's so upsetting to you that a woman says to you, and do you know what's funny to me about it is, and a lot of men, I think, just really don't get this. Women are primed to be empathetic towards men, far more empathetic towards men than we are towards ourselves and other women because of patriarchy, right? Women often make excuses for men, defend men, right? Use their own identities as women to protect men because of patriarchy. That is far more of a commonly, observable pattern than women saying, I'm not going to do this. It takes a lot of women years to understand that they actually don't need to reflexively be in service to each man around them. And I guess what's frustrating to me about you being so upset about this is that if you were a man truly engaged in this conversation, this would be something that you would understand solidly. You wouldn't be so confused by this. It wouldn't be so upsetting to you that someone says, I don't want to be in service to you. It would seem like something that was incredibly understandable because of patriarchy and how much it's harmed women. You said in your video that this seems like a trauma response. Okay, what if it is? What if it is a trauma response? What if I'm traumatized by the patriarchy and I say to you, I don't want to be in service to you for that reason. Please leave me alone. Is it understanding of patriarchy to say, you're a bad person, you're making it harder on me because you don't want to stop and be of service to me? Do you not catch how that makes no sense? Yeah, I get it. It hurts your feelings when people say this to you. I'm really sorry that you've had experiences where that has felt that way to you. Seriously, and I mean that very genuinely. But I think you're not fully understanding the full breadth of patriarchy, the full impact of misogyny, and how deep it goes. And I'm pointing that out because to me, there again, this is what I said in my first video. We're talking about very different things. You're upset that people are hurting your feelings by not celebrating you for doing, I guess, the nice male feminist thing. Women right now are in situations where they don't have control over their own fucking bodies by law. And in this entire conversation, we're having conversations about male loneliness and how it's women's fault. During a time where in some states, again, women can be jailed for having a miscarriage, right? It's a little bit different. And I wish sometimes men who are trying to do this work, right, would take a second and understand that your hurt feelings in this moment are not on the same level as what we're talking about. I think part of trying to understand these things is recognizing that, yeah, maybe sometimes people will say shit that's traumatic because of their experiences with trauma, right? Maybe some people will say some shit that hurts your feelings. But you should still be invested in the conversation regardless. Regardless. And if you are pushed away by people who are traumatized by patriarchy, you're not actually interested in being engaged in this conversation in any helpful or productive way. Anyway, have a good life, I guess.